Good morning everyone, it's Brett here, Lightheart 84, and I'm starting out another Sunday walk today. And I'm heading, started out near Canary Wharf. I'm walking along the side of the Docklands Light Railway. I'm planning to walk down towards the River Thames, a place called Island Gardens, which is a park. And I should walk through Island Gardens down to the riverside. And I'm going to go under the second foot tunnel. There's another foot tunnel, the same as I went under last time I walked. This one is the Greenwich foot tunnel, and I should come up to Greenwich, have a look at the Cutty Sark for anyone interested in antique boats or historical boats. And then from there I'll walk along the Thames, hopefully to Tower Bridge, and should I see any interesting sights on the way or any interesting plants, obviously I'll stop for a few seconds and film them. I'm not expecting there to be too much to see today, so it won't be a particularly long video, but I will stop if there's anything interesting. Could have carried on the DLR a little bit further, but to be honest the stations are very close together, and it was nice to start where I did. There's a station up on the right hand side called Mud Chute, and then the one after that is Island Gardens, and then I'll be by the riverside, so I'll catch up with you in the next part of the video. So I've arrived at the park that I'm going to cut through now, which I think is stop temporarily to have a look at this shrub, little green shrub. Not too sure what it is. Looks a bit like some kind of member of the myrtle family, but it could be a blue ceanothus as well. Not sure when they're not in flower. So this is, I think they call this one Millwall Park, and I can cut through this to get down to Island Gardens. The reason I'm walking around here because there's something of architectural interest to some people here. We'll get to in a minute. Now up on the right hand side are the remains of what I presume might have been an aqueduct. I don't think it's a viaduct which trains would have run along. I believe that was possibly an aqueduct, so it may have had you can't get up on top to see, but I think it was probably had canal boats running along it at some stage. Obviously it's been removed many years ago. I'm pleased to say that they decided to retain part of it for the historical interest. Doesn't look as if it's used for anything now. You can see the approximate width there through this mesh. We've got these areas meshed off to stop people going in there. Perhaps they consider it's not possibly safe, but interesting to see anyway. I'll catch up with you in the next part of the video. So I've now arrived at what's called Island Gardens. And we'll walk down to the waterfront. I'm currently on the north side of the river, and in a minute I'll be walking down, taking the stairs down there. That will take me down to below river level and walk across to the other side, and you'll see where I'm going to end up in a minute. You see it's got some palm trees here growing in these gardens. It's very warm in this part of London. I think these Phoenix palms, I believe, Canary Island date palms. all looking very healthy and completely unaffected by the cold winter we've had. And if I walk down to the waterfront, as I said, I'm on the north side of the river, and you can walk all the way along this side. Over there is the dome for the other side of the tunnel that passes under the river, and that's Greenwich over there, and that's the Cutty Sark, and that's the Maritime Museum and the old Greenwich Power Station. So I'm going to walk over there, and then I'll be heading down that way towards central London, and I'll take a short video of the Cutty Sark when we get over there. So let's progress down the tunnel. I won't film the whole journey, too repetitive. Here we go down the stairs. Not going to count them, can't remember how many there are. But I'll give you some idea how long it takes to walk down them. To see, I've got my new glasses now, which I'll no doubt you'll see another video, and they're reactor lights, so I've been out in the sunshine and they've gone dark, so I can't see the stairs, but they should go light in about 30 seconds. I can see the stairs now, couldn't see them at first. Bottom now, and you'll see the tunnel in a minute. Looks like the lift's working today. Gives you some idea of the length of the tunnel. And I'll see you on the other side. I think this tunnel is probably shorter than the one at Woolwich I walked down before, because the river will be wider at Woolwich. It's quite popular for people walking through it, and it's the only way to get to the other side of the river at this part anyway, without taking the train. Obviously, if you take the train.
You want the wrong side? Wrong side. This is the traffic exercise. Right, you have to push it.
Yeah, you can take the train, of course, to get across the other side under the underground or the DLR, but it's nice to walk as I am today. So this is pretty good condition, this tunnel, as far as I can see. So that's enough of video for now. We'll see you on the other side. Looks like the lift is out of all those ends, or the lights are on, it's not actually working. You can see the wonderful old wooden timber panelling in the lifts, but as people are coming down the stairs with push chairs and bikes, I have to assume that it's out of order. Very quickly. Stick to the inside, it's a shorter route. Yeah, as you can see, people having to bring their bicycles down the stairs. Good for exercise, not very practical. I must count the stairs one day so we know how many there are. It's getting lighter, so we're arriving at daylight. Here we are. Now arrived safely on the south bank. There, if you're interested in history, is the fully restored Cutty Sark. Impressive sight. Wouldn't fancy doing that rigging job. Grab myself a coffee somewhere here. I said I've got some food stalls today. buy myself a coffee, then I'll set off on my walk along the south bank of Thames towards central London. So you can come here and have your snacks if you want. Pad Thai, burritos, doner, hot dogs, Greek wraps, traditional paella. Nice choice of food here on a Sunday. Bakery and pancakes. And here is my coffee destination for the day. So I now have my coffee. Free advertising for Jamie's Coffee. And we're going to start my walk along the Thames path on the south side of the river and see how far we get. Takes a fair bit longer than going on a bicycle, but that's no problem. I won't be boring people with lots of filming. Billingsgate Dock, ferry and medieval port. Interestingly, now little sandy beach, perfect for dogs to have a run on, as long as the owners clear up their mess. As you can see, the tide's well down at the moment, so there's people scouring the edges of the water in case they're either picking up rubbish or looking for unusual treasures. Got a few cannons along here, maybe from the Cutty Sark actually, quite possibly. And I shall be heading over that way and following the bend of the river until eventually I hope I'll get as far as Tower Bridge. That's where I'll stop for a light snack lunch. We'll see how we go time wise, because I'm running late today because I stopped having a haircut first because I've been long overdue for one. Anyway, catch up with you in the next part of the video. For people interested in historical things, you can pause that and read that. I'm not going to stay and read it all myself. This little statue and memorial here is to Peter the Great. Interesting. Still on the water side here. See, some of the old wooden wharfs are still here that I used to have ships moored to unload their cargo. They're not in use anymore, they're too dilapidated, but they're obviously still here for historical reasons. And over on the other side of the river you can see Canary Wharf, the main financial centre apart from the City of London. Car enthusiasts, car lovers among you, there is a very rare car here in the UK and London. It's a Renault Alpine or Alpine Turbo, a rare beast, and they were quite often in these lurid colours. As you can see, massively developed along here now. It's a large quantity of apartments all the way along the side of the River Thames. Obviously it's considered a fairly desirable place to live. If you live in London, a lot of people like to have a view of the river. So there's plenty of restaurants and shops around here for them to get what they need to get. Just a quick stop. This little oasis en route, tucked around the back, is called Twinkle Park. Mostly consists of a pond, and I do believe we have a heron over there. Don't know how I can't see how he can fish from the top there, it's too high up. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer before he flies off. Obviously his favourite fishing spot. He doesn't seem particularly bothered by me, that's for sure. Very beautiful birds, but not very popular if you own a garden pond and they come and eat all your fish. I think he'll get down onto the lower banks around the edges when he wants to do fishing. So that little oasis is Twinkle Park. Not much in flower this time of year. I think those are probably a viburnum of some sort. Always put a nice display on in the winter months. But on with the walk. Another park to walk through here, attractive gates. I'm pleased to say that they've managed to maintain a few green spaces in London along the Thames. This one is called Sayes Court Park. It's only a small park, but it allows me to get off the road and carry on walking down to the waterfront. Not particularly busy here today except for the birds. Nice to see there's a few spring flowers out. The winter crocuses. Lovely to see them growing wild in the park here. Sadly there's also the usual litter, despite the fact that it says bin over there. Sadly lots of people can't be bothered to walk that short distance. Perhaps it's the wind blowing the rubbish here, to be fair. Now what's this here? Wow, okay, this is very interesting. This is a mulberry tree. Planted by the Russian Tsar Peter the Great. How interesting, look. It's very, very ancient. Look at the branches all supported by posts. I did not know there was a mulberry tree here. What sort of mulberry it is, I don't know. Fascinating. That might interest the gardeners who are watching this. A very, very, very ancient, lovely looking mulberry tree. 300 or 400 years old on that basis. On with the walk. Just a quick look at the cordy lines here. Not too much damage on the central London ones. A little bit of dying off at the top, but that might be caused by something else. But as you can see, there's little frost damage on any of them here. So an indication how mild it is in this part of London. So we're back on the road now, and we'll carry on the walk following the Thames path. So I've just had to take quite a large detour because there's a huge dock area there which is still not walkable past, and my target today probably is Tower Bridge, 3 1/4 miles. I've only done 1 3/4 so far from Cutty Sark. As you can see, I'm gradually getting round to the side of Canary Wharf. You can see Citibank there, HSBC, JP Morgan, so a lot of big banks and financial companies are based on Canary Wharf at the moment. Don't know if they're going to stay there permanently, that remains to be seen. And I shall be carrying along the river in that direction until I eventually reach Tower Bridge. That's the view back towards Greenwich distance where I've started this morning. On with the walk. One for the car detectives among you. That looks suspiciously like a little Fiat, vintage Fiat 500 to me under there, from the 1960s or early 70s. There's a few people along here covering their cars to try and protect them from the elements. Not sure what those are. Oh, I know what that is. It's an MGB GT. Look at the shape of that and the wire wheels. So someone around here's got a little collection of classics. So we'd stop and video this. There's obviously a boat yard here doing maintenance on canal boats and other river boats. Stripping the hulls and repainting them with protective paints, no doubt. Looks like they've got plenty to keep them busy. Whew. I'm going to say it's not very warm. I think the temperature's about, it's windy, I think the temperature's about maybe about 6 or 7 degrees centigrade, so about sort of somewhere between 42 and 45 Fahrenheit, and it's windy as well, so it's not particularly warm. There's a large dock area in there, which is one of the boat yards. Looks like their boats moored there. It's served by a particularly large dock gate. Large docks. I don't know how often they open it, but you can see it's the only way to get in and out of the river when the water level's high enough. You can see the problem there. That's concrete there, so you wouldn't be able to get through that even if you could open the docks at the moment. There's no way to get into the dockyard. Don't think that boat will be going anywhere soon. Purely decorative. Oh, that wind is biting round the corner. It's not a nice day for walking. But when you need exercise, you need exercise. So on with the walk and try and keep my hands warm. Again, we can see how low the water level is here. No way you'd be bringing boats through this area. There is, that's not the way you get in, but there is another boating area on the other side here. I can walk over this old iron bridge that's been built here. Boats in here, but I'm presuming. No, maybe this bridge lifts up. Oh, no, it can't do. It's on concrete pillars. You can see there's another boat dock there. I think this area is all called Surrey Quays. Would certainly been an interest here at some stage, but not anymore. So I assume the boats can get in from the other side via the other lock that I went to recently. I'm going to head back along the waterfront in a minute. Again, a very popular residential area to live. There'll be I think there's a station near here as well. Where? Train station, and of course you can take the taxi boats as well. Ooh, my hands are dropping off holding this phone, but I'm just going to film it for a bit longer because it's an interesting sculpture up here to have a look at. I'm feeling the cold. Not like the previous walks I've been on where it's been mild with no winds. This is not nice at all. Little area here called Surrey Docks Farm. So sort of a wildlife preservation centre. few animals and birds for children as well. Not producing any crops here for not producing large quantities of crops for people to eat. Just growing a few things for interest, just to keep a nice sheltered area around here. And as you can see, there's a coffee shop as well. And a few interesting things growing around here. Very interesting. Oh, look what I found. I've got a load of guavas, or pineapple guavas growing. I never knew they were here. Got 3 of them. Hopefully not. Hopefully they've got some named varieties and not just seedlings, so they might even get some fruit in the summer. It was interesting to see. It was worth stopping for a few seconds. Hammer mollis, I think. Chinese hazel, and there's another pineapple guava at the back there as well. Fascinating. Anyway, on with the walk. Just continuing my walk. Thought I'd like to show this old swing bridge. This doesn't operate anymore, or not swing bridge, it's a lift bridge or drawbridge. This doesn't work anymore, it's all been disconnected, but there would have been a time when this whole bridge would have rotated upwards to allow ships into the dock area at the back. Amazing, substantial feat of engineering this would have been. Probably had some kind of counterbalance weights on it at some stage. Lovely old pub on the other side called the Salt Key. Not that I've never been in it for a drink, but it looks it's got modern bits on it, but it looks like old wood as well. Yeah, the bridge must have been fantastic to see it working. Walk down to the riverfront here. Now, interesting, this construction here. There's one on this side, one right over there in the distance, if I can focus in on it and zoom in a bit. They're not towers for a foot tunnel. I believe they're ventilation shafts for the Rotherhithe tunnel. There's a vehicle tunnel that passes underneath here. I'm in an area called Rotherhithe, and those towers, I believe, provide ventilation for the tunnels to vent the vehicle fumes out of it, and they probably have some kind of giant fans operating in them. Yeah, there we are. Rotherhithe Tunnel, Shaft 2. So you can probably walk down into it if you're an access, if you're a maintenance manager, but not, obviously not for the public to enter. So you have to walk away from the river just to get round that, and then we can carry on back along the Thames path on the other side. Get a better view of it from here, actually. Obviously another piece of Victorian engineering, no doubt. Here we are. Unfortunately my phone doesn't have a particularly good zoom. I'll get as close as I can. Sitting up there, I believe, is a cormorant. It's probably his fishing post. ready to dive down into the water and catch his dinner. Out of interest, walking along this section here, quite a substantial houseboat moored. It's on dry land at the moment, it'll be floating later. It's got this little garden on the back, including what looks like a bay tree, and a garden on the top as well. Got a very prime position here. There aren't any other boats moored along here at all, so it's very lucky to be along this piece of riverbank. Let's get a picture from the other side. Quite a substantial boat, I would say, and the tide's obviously still well and truly out, and obviously people and birds looking for things of interest. Another sculpture of some interest here. Sunshine Weekly in the Pilgrim's Pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's dressed like a pilgrim. And this is Cumberland Wharf. Right, from where the Mayflower set sail for America. You can pause that and read that if you want to. And with the walk. Haven't had much more in the interest of vegetation to look at, but perhaps we'll see something else further along. Back to the walk. So many interesting places to visit if you've got time. I've certainly never been here. Here is the Brunel Museum. Probably not open on a Sunday. I used to think it is. I think that's Isambard Kingdom Brunel, famous for inventing lots of things. This is called Tunnel Road here. Typically enough, that pub's called the Mayflower, which is named after the famous ship that the Pilgrims set sail in to America, and a nice looking church here as well, St Mary's Church, judging by the name of the street. Not walked along this part before, I don't think, but you can see these are all now apartments, but these would have been wharfs originally. You can see the original cobble streets here still, which go back to probably the 16 or 1700s. But this has all been converted into trending living places now. Not cheap, for sure. Very interesting to walk along here as well, and run if you're a keen jogger. Always plenty to see when you walk along these areas, which you can't see when you're coming along by road. And oh, here's a glimpse up here. Oh, parrots. Getting a good glimpse now. You can see that I'm gradually approaching. In the distance there is Tower Bridge, and to the left of it the Shard, and I will be over that area in about probably 20 or 30 minutes. So I'm now very close to Tower Bridge, which you'll see in a minute when I turn the camera around. Some interesting architecture along here. Again, these are mostly warehouses, you can see from the cranes that are converted to living accommodation. And we're now very close to Tower Bridge. Along this little area of the Thames there are ample restaurants. There's Brown's here, it does pleasant food. And as we get closer to Tower Bridge. It's getting really busy around here. And over the other side is the Tower of London. Lots of trendy eateries here. Looks like that's closed down. That was called the Blueprint Cafe. Looks like it didn't survive coronavirus. Let's see what else is over here. I've got somewhere called Coco, which that's a newer one. I've not seen that one. No alcohol served on or out on the premises. Okay, we're going to that place. That's probably why it's not very busy. Obviously very strict, I presume, Islamic restaurant. Yes, there's no alcohol. Next to it is an all bar one. So if you want your alcohol, you can go in there, obviously, because that's just about all they serve. Interesting propellers here. It's a fair old size. And there's one anchor, which is a reasonable size. Look at the size of this. Now that's what I call an anchor chain, and an anchor. Absolutely huge. Several propellers along here. There's at least one trendy restaurant. There's if it's still open, there's one down here called a Pont de la Tour, which is so that one's called Cantina del Ponte. Not many people inside, surprisingly. And here is Le Pont de la Tour. Very well known restaurant, not cheap. Obviously no one sitting outside at this time of the year. A decent view of Tower Bridge for anyone interested who's perhaps not familiar with London or hasn't visited here. And every so often that opens to allow ships through. Quick close-up look. Tower Bridge for anyone interested. You can of course walk underneath it, which I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go up the stairs and actually walk over the top in just a minute, because I've gone as far as I need to go today. Stairs here.
Check that out first.
And for anyone interested, should you visit here, you can go inside Tower Bridge, and there's a very interesting exhibition, including in the machine room, where you can see how the bridge all works.
So you've probably got a nice gap.
It seems like a good place to stop this part of the video going. Point of interest for people here, because they might be curious to know, these barriers along the side of the road and in the middle of the footpath were put here as a response to terrorists who had been a couple of attacks here where vans were stolen by terrorists, and then they used them to drive along the footpaths and mow pedestrians down. So that's why they've blocked the entrances to the footpaths with those large barriers. As you can see, it's very busy around this area. I'm just going to cross over to the other side in a minute. Sort of suicidal crossover here. Safe way for pedestrian crossing. Just wanted to quickly give people, before I get on the train, a look at the Tower of London, just in case you haven't seen it before. If you're not from London or haven't visited London, well worth visiting if you're a tourist here at some stage. Magnificent building. It's where the crown jewels are kept as well. Just walking along the side of Tower Bridge, very sheltered here, and you can probably see when I get up here that there's large quantities of rosemary in flower here right at the end of February, just about to hit March. Lovely scent of the leaves, very ornamental flowers, and I love this area because it's nice and sheltered and probably nice and dry up here as well, so they don't get too wet. Fabulous. Lots of tourists here from different areas. Lots of Italian voices, French voices, Spanish voices, as well as American accents. Tourists galore down here. And there's old versus new. The Tower of London within the background, the Shard, the tallest building in London at present. No idea if they're going to build anything taller. We will see what the future holds. And that's about my walk finished for the day. I think I've done about 6 or 7 miles. I have to be getting on with. I'm going to head off to the shopping centre to try and find my brother a small birthday present for his birthday, which is tomorrow. So thanks for watching the video, much appreciate it. Welcome to give me a thumbs up. Hope there were a couple of things of interest to you. Oh, just before I finish, some original historic foundations here from another one of the towers. And I have a lot of interesting artwork in here as well on display. As you can see. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.